Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and we are continuing on our series today of reading from Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune, and me sharing my understanding of this book. When I first read it, it was totally confusing. That's the only way I can put it. And I'm actually hitting a chapter that it took me a few times over the past few years to read and really comprehend and understand. I was raised very deeply rooted into the Catholic faith. And as I was growing up, there was just certain things that did not, I guess you could say, sit right with me. They just did not make a lot of sense. And as I was growing up, I had a lot of questions about the way that the Bible was written and what I was being taught and how things actually connected together and why there was this God that seemed to be all loving and all forgiving, but only if I followed specific steps. And then this person would also be very judgmental if I kind of made a mistake and I didn't follow the steps before I passed away. And I was just really confused by this. And I was confused by a lot of things in the Bible, mostly that I didn't understand how this story worked and actually made sense. I was like, if this was real people, this just does not make sense. And so part of what I really loved about learning about Neville Goddard is that he says the Bible is actually a psychological drama. It is written in a way to teach you a deep-rooted kind of secret or understanding. And I use the word secret just because I think it's not super widely known and it's not super widely communicated. And I think a lot of folks probably have these same understandings where it's like, I get this, but I also don't, or I understand it, but I don't understand it. And so my personal view is that the Bible is written in a way to allow us to understand how we can use the forces that are around us, the energy and the vibration, to have a kind of life that we really want to have. And that part is amazing. And you can do this for others as well. You can see them in their best light. A dear friend of mine this weekend just gave me a new book. So I've mentioned the book, The Choice, Embrace the Possible, on this podcast a few times. I absolutely love it. And she gifted me the next book by the same author, which is The 12 Gifts, I believe is what it's called. And I open the page and I'm flipping through the book. And one of the first things that stands out to me is this saying to make sure that you're seeing other people in their best light, to actually see the light of God within them. And so that gift touched my heart, not only because giving me a gift such as a book like that tells me that you're thinking of me when you're out and about, and that is really beautiful in itself. But the words that are in there are so core to the way that I see life, that we can do things to, I guess you could call it, manipulate our own lives, and not manipulate in a bad way, but change or influence our own lives. And we can actually influence the lives of others around us, which is beautiful. To me, this is the most beautiful gift that you can give somebody in your prayers for them, is to see them as their most ideal self, to see them living the type of life that you know that they would want to lead, and happy and full of light and joy. And so part of why I like doing this podcast is so that I can hopefully share that out with the world and expand to more people. And the more people who are raising their vibration to this and raising their energy to this, the better. And so when you connect with people such as my friend that gave me the book, she and I have a lot of very similar viewpoints on how the world works and how the afterlife works. So we were talking about signs that you get from your loved ones and knowing that they're around. And it just really touches my heart because I'm so happy that I met her because of our joint vibrations when we get together. The conversations that we're able to have, the energy that comes out of those conversations are going to have a ripple effect around us. And so when you're looking at this chapter, Neville is talking about Christmas and how Christmas is really symbolizing a new birth, right? And the new birth is this new life that you're able to connect with. I'll actually read directly from the chapter. He says, even to those who fail to understand it, the story of Christmas is one of the most beautiful stories ever. When unfolded in the light of its mystic symbology, it is revealed as the true birth of every manifestation in the world. This virgin birth is recorded of having taken place on December 25th, as certain secret societies celebrate it on Christmas Eve at midnight of December 24th. Mystics established this date to mark the birth of Jesus because it was in keeping with the great earthly benefits this astronomical change signifies. On December 25th, the sun begins its great move northward, bringing with it the promise of salvation and life anew for the world. Each day, as the sun rises higher in the heavens, man gains confidence in being saved from death by cold and starvation, for he knows that as it moves northward and crosses the equator, all nature will rise again, will be resurrected from its long winter sleep. Our day is measured from midnight to midnight, and since the visible day begins in the east and ends in the west, the ancients said that the day was born of that constellation which occupied the eastern horizon at midnight. On Christmas Eve, or midnight of December 24th, Virgo is rising on the eastern horizon. So it is recorded that the Son and Savior of the world was born of a virgin. It is also recorded that this virgin mother was traveling through the night, that she stopped at an inn and was given the only available room among the animals, and there in a manger, where the animals fed, the shepherds found the Holy Child. The animals with whom the Holy Virgin was lodged are the holy animals of the zodiac. There, in that constantly moving circle of astronomical animals, stands the Holy Mother, Virgo, and there you will see her every midnight of December 24th, standing on the eastern horizon as the Son and Savior of the world starts his journey northward. When man discovers his consciousness, or I am to be God, the Savior of his world, he will be as the sun in its northern passage. All hidden urges and ambitions will then be warmed and stimulated into birth by this knowledge of his true self. He will claim that which heretofore he hoped to be. Without the aid of any man, he will define himself as that which he desires to express. He will discover that his I am is the Virgin conceiving without the aid of man, that all conceptions of himself, when felt and fixed in consciousness, will be embedded easily as living realities in his world. Man will one day realize that this whole drama takes place in his consciousness, that his unconditioned consciousness, or I am, is the Virgin Mary desiring to express, that through this law of self-expression, he defines himself as that which he desires to express, and that without the help or cooperation of anyone, he will express that which he has consciously claimed and defined himself as being. He will then understand why Christmas is fixed on December 25th, while Easter is a movable date. Why upon the virgin conception the whole of Christendom rests, that his consciousness is the virgin womb, or the bride of the Lord, in receiving impressions as self-impregnations, and then without assistance embodying these impressions as the expressions of his life. I'm not going to lie, that was still quite the mouthful, and I definitely stumbled in a few spots. But what Neville is saying here is that on Christmas, we're getting a new birth, right? There's this new birth of life. And that the more that you lean into understanding your consciousness, and that what you desire to express is as simple, truly, as changing your expression of yourself internally, that is what this means. You're able to open your world to the gift of new life. I personally still think that this chapter is written a little confusing. I understand the story that he's trying to tell, and I understand how it all connects. One thing that I have learned going through Your Faith is Your Fortune is that Neville is actually saying the same thing over and over and over and over. He's giving you different ways of understanding how your consciousness works and how you are able to express that which you want to be just by changing your mindset. And a lot of times though, you hear that and it's like, okay, that's sometimes much easier said than done. And he does make it seem like it is so simple. All you have to do is just change your mind and you can change your entire life. And that process, though, starts with you looking inward to your true feelings now. Giving yourself a gift of being honest with yourself about how you feel in a certain situation. One of the things that I end up seeing quite a lot when I'm talking to others is this fact of people not understanding what their current conception of themselves is. So they may say, well, I feel like I am wealthy and I feel like I should have everything in the world, but I don't understand why it's still not working. I've been doing all the things and all the techniques and I don't know why it's not working. And what that comes down to is because it's not about the techniques. It's not about how many times you say that you are something. It's not going to change until you have the naturalness of that actual feeling. And what's amazing to me, and quite shocking at times when I started to realize how this was playing out in my own life, there is nothing in my life that I truly believe that I am either becoming or have become that I ask why it's not here yet. So even when it's taking a little bit maybe longer, when I truly know this is what I'm awakening myself to be, I never have a feeling of this is taking forever, it's not working for me. And that is a big shift in the way that you're viewing yourself. So that's why you have to look at your self-concept. Don't allow the often overused term of self-concept to turn you off from this, right? The self-concept is really just looking at the way you view yourself. What do you think of yourself? How do you think the world reacts to you? And like, what do you actually truly feel true about yourself? So even if you're doing some sort of affirmation, like let's say you're trying to find love in your life and you continually say, so-and-so is in love with me, or they message me all the time. What is that actual feeling that you get when you say that? Is it, no, they don't. What are you talking about? Or they think you're crazy. This is never going to work. You keep showing up in a way that is freaking people out. Those are your actual views of what you have of yourself. And it's important to consider those and to be really honest with yourself. Before you can ever even set an intention or decide on something you want, it's good to understand where you actually are. What do you think of yourself? What is your current self-concept? What are the things that you are continually saying to yourself? How are you treating yourself? And if you're looking to change this kind of stuff, it really starts with saying, okay, this is actually how I feel. This is how I'm talking to myself. These are the things that I believe true. This is the concept that I hold of myself now. What is it that I want to change? And then begin to work on a process. So when you have a goal in mind, it's fantastic. You can have this outcome goal, but the focus should really be on your process to get there. What are your steps to become this person that you want to be? And it's not forcing something or forcing yourself to be different than you are, but how do you treat yourself? Can you change some of the ways that you're treating yourself during the day that's more aligned to this person that you want to be? That's more aligned to saying, this is the concept that I hold of myself. This is the respect that I show myself. This is the love that I show myself. And those small shifts are the ones that then start to build. And suddenly, before you know it, you've become this person. This life that you were seeking has actually come into your life because you've set the intention, you've worked on the goal, you've worked on the process, and you've worked on yourself, and it's really fantastic. So I know that today's episode is actually relatively short compared to most of the episodes that I do, but I think this core piece is just so important to sit with, and it's about being very honest. What do I really feel about myself? So when you look at something that you want in your life, that you want to change, either within your career or your love life or your current financial status or just overall self-confidence and the way that you're viewing yourself, when you look at that, sit down for a minute and really ask yourself the question, how do I feel about myself now? What are the truths that I'm holding about myself now? And don't be scared to speak them. It's okay because you feel that way now. So you need to start working on the process to change that. If you would like help guiding you in that, I actually do have a guide that I have recently published. I'll put a link down in the show notes for it that talks about kind of creating a little bit of this process to get started on creating a life that you love and being the person that you really want to be. And I'll put that link down below. I am also super excited to announce that I am launching a membership program. I'll put the link down below if you want to read more about that. But I am so excited about this. I have blog posts that are very specific to this membership that gives you a great outline of like, here's where you're going to start. You're going to do this day 1, day 2. You'll have access to those for the entire time you're in the membership. Every week, there is a group coaching session with myself. So I'll be doing a masterclass each and every week. And then I'll be accepting questions in that as well. So, oh my God, I'm just so excited because it's like in this, you're going to be able to start to really uncover your personal blocks because you can send me your questions. I do very, very limited one-on-one coaching. It is very limited. If you're interested in it, you can email me, but I really think the membership is the better way to go and it's much more affordable. But then the other part that you get that's within this is every course that I launch, you'll get access to as well. So I am currently working on 3 other courses, which is aligning to your habits to your manifestation. Also working on one on nurturing a loving relationship and then finalizing my 30 days to love. So all of those are coming out. You would get access to every single one of those. I am feeling like I officially feel so excited about this. Like I kept thinking, what can I do that will help other people? What are ways that I can put this together in a true like transformational process, right? Like I've got the podcast, I've got my videos, I've got all this stuff that I want to get out to people. And how can I get it to them in a way that's connecting me one-on-one to you, making sure that you have access to me and my information, and really putting together this like personal development plan so that you can go from point A to point Z and really get to the part that you want to be at. What are your personal goals? Where is the desired outcome for you? Who do you want to be? And as I'm putting it all together, I was like, a membership is perfect. I can put everything into this monthly membership. And I I truly cannot explain how excited I am about it. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm super excited. I'm probably going to have enrollment only open for a couple of months and then close it to make sure it doesn't get too big. I want to make sure that we have a true community that is all built around this Unleashing Happiness collective. And I just cannot wait. So if you have any questions about it, you can definitely email me, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com, but I will put the links to both of those down below as well. I hope that you have a beautiful week, and I will be back.